in Ramallah are ordered to shut down by Israeli authorities. Cornwall in southwest England is preparing for the arrival of world leaders for the G7 summit. European Union leaders said Thursday they would continue to push the United Kingdom to respect its post-Brexit trade deal in Northern Ireland amid an increasingly heated dispute between the bloc and the former EU member. In a news conference ahead of the G7 meeting in Cornwall, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the bloc had agreed with the UK that the protocol was the only solution, ensuring the absence of a hard border of Northern Ireland. The so-called Northern Ireland Protocol was designed to protect the peace process there by ensuring that trade with the Republic of Ireland continued to flow freely after Britain left the EU. The protocol required Britain to conduct regulatory checks on some goods shipped to the region from other parts of the UK. Britain earlier this year unilaterally delayed some of those inspections, saying it needed more time to put systems in place to carry out the required checks. Cornwall in southwest England is preparing for the arrival of world leaders on Friday as the area plays host to the G7 summit. In the bay outside St. Ives, British Navy gunboats patrol alongside police and security forces on the land. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is planning on welcoming U.S. President Joe Biden and leaders of France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and Canada to the cliff-ringed Carbis Bay Beach Resort for the three-day Group of Seven summit. The pandemic and economic recovery are set to be high on the agenda, as well as how some of the world's richest countries are dealing with the climate crisis. Meanwhile, the residents of Cornwall in southwest England welcoming the G7 summit with various reaction as the area plays host to world leaders and their entourage. Locals in the area have complained about loss of business. Palestinian health workers held a protest Thursday in front of the headquarters of the health work committees in Ramallah, rejecting the Israeli authorities' decision to shut it down. Early Wednesday, the Israeli army raided the HWC headquarters, broke down the door, confiscated computers and memory drives, and issued a military order forcing the office to close for 6 months. Amnesty International said the decision to shut down the health organization will have catastrophic consequences for Palestinian healthcare. Protesters called it a criminal act against a humanitarian health institution and demanded the international bodies to impose immediate pressure on the occupation to undo it. Hundreds held a rare protest in Bahrain over the death of a vaccinated prisoner from the coronavirus held by the kingdom. The demonstration Wednesday night saw protesters march in the streets of Dia, a village in the Persian Gulf Kingdom, over the death of Hussein Barakat. The protesters said that King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa should be responsible for Barakat's death. A statement released by the Interior Ministry stated that the 40-year-old Barakat had been on a respirator in recent days and died at the hospital. The ministry also said Barakat had received a 2-shot vaccination for the virus without identifying which shot he received. And on another news, commerce ministers of China and the U.S. agreed to promote trade and investment cooperation amid tension between the world's two biggest economies after Biden's administration revoked orders against several Chinese apps such as TikTok and WeChat. The spokesperson of China's Ministry of Commerce, Gao Feng, told journalists that during a phone call between China's Commerce Minister Wang Wentao and U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo on Thursday, the two officials agreed that such dialogues are very important. The White House on Wednesday revoked some of the blanket-style orders made during the Trump administration against several Chinese apps and replacing it with a new executive order from President Joe Biden. However, last week, the Biden administration expanded a list of Chinese companies on a blacklist from the Trump era, purported to have links to Chinese military and surveillance. American companies and individuals cannot invest in these companies, which include telecommunications gear supplier Huawei and Chinese oil company China National Offshore Oil Corp.
我们注意到，美方撤销了上届政府针对 TikTok、微信等中国应用程序的有关行政令，这是朝着正确方向迈出的积极一步。但我们也注意到，美方同时要求对外国应用程序的安全风险进行审查，而且美国外国投资委员会仍在对 TikTok 进行审查。我们希望美方公平、公正地对待中国企业，避免将经贸问题政治化。
A three-story dilapidated building collapsed following heavy monsoon rain in the western Indian city of Mumbai, killing at least 11 people and injuring 7 others. The building collapsed late Wednesday, where dozens of rescuers were clearing the debris to find any residents possibly still trapped. Residents joined the fire and police officers in rescuing people, and they took the 7 injured to a hospital in the suburban Kandi Valley area. Heavy monsoon rain during the day had flooded several parts of India's financial and entertainment capital. Building collapses are common in India during the June-September monsoon season, when heavy rain weakened the foundations of structures that are poorly built. A man died after he was struck by lightning on a New Jersey golf course on Wednesday. An eyewitness said it was sunny with thunder and lightning. Officials said the man was pronounced dead at the scene, the Burlington Country Club in West Hampton Township. His name, age, and other details were not immediately released. Local residents told reporters that the storm came so suddenly they could understand how golfers could have been taken by surprise and not able to get off the course in time. And coming up next on World News, prestigious orchestra members performed classical music in Hungary's capital, Budapest, on a truck. Stay tuned for this and more.
Hari gini 2.000 bisa dapat apa? Kedelai hitam spesial kecap sedap kemasan 2.000 bisa dapat banyak. Nasi goreng, ayam bakar, seafood sampai cocolan. Wow, banyak banget. Kedelai hitam spesial kecap sedap kemasan 2.000 dari Wings Food.
Pandemi sekarang ini mengajarkan hijrah ke platform online atau digital.
Di aplikasi yang kita bikin itu membantu memindahkan catatan keuangan yang biasanya di buku. Kita pindahkan ke aplikasi.
Informasi yang ada, aku coba untuk share ke banyak orang melalui platform digital yang aku punya.
Vaksin untuk Indonesia, usaha maju kita makmur. Jumat 11 Juni jam 8 malam. Dipersembahkan oleh, didukung oleh.
Kenapa sih kita harus berinvestasi di PIK 2? Ada 3 alasan utama. Yang pertama, lokasi PIK 2. Alasan kedua, setiap orang yang membeli PIK 2 dianggap sebagai pemegang saham. Membeli produk PIK 2 memang selalu untung karena harga perdana PIK 2 50% di bawah harga market. Alasan yang ketiga, fasilitas. Di mana fasilitas yang tersedia di PIK 2 jauh lebih banyak dari real estate manapun juga.
Terbaru dari Metro TV mulai bulan Juni, The Legends, setiap Sabtu jam 7:30 malam.
Nggak benar jadi kalau seperti ini. Racunnya ini bukan saya.
Saya ingat mama, sampai mama nangis sampai air matanya keluar.
Untuk Indonesia dalam Newsline, setiap Jumat jam 2:30 sore. The Journalist, setiap Senin jam 8 malam. Kick Andy Double Check. Metro TV, knowledge to elevate. Metro TV hadir di mana peristiwa terjadi. Bekerja dengan identitas yang jelas dan mampu beradaptasi dengan teknologi terbaru agar Anda bisa mendapatkan informasi dengan segera. Jurnalis Metro TV berintegritas dan tidak menerima imbalan dalam bentuk apapun. Metro TV, knowledge to elevate.
Pemirsa Metro TV menyelenggarakan pelatihan jurnalistik untuk tetaplah bersama kami di Breaking News Metro TV.
Dengarkan Metro TV di radio, more than just news. Streaming sekarang di metrotvnews.com dan medcom.id.
Siapa bilang Indonesia nggak bisa? Vaksin untuk
Setiap
Indonesia.
Jumat jam 8 malam. Nikmati Metro TV HD di saluran digital Anda.
Ayo semuanya, dukung migrasi TV digital. Bersih gambarnya, jernih suaranya, dan canggih teknologinya.
Untuk meningkatkan kualitas siaran, Metro TV migrasi ke satelit merah putih Telkom 4 dengan parameter. Pastikan tetap terinformasi dengan tayangan lebih jernih bersama Metro TV. Saksikan live streaming Metro TV dan dapatkan informasi secara lengkap dengan video berkualitas high definition di kanal metrotvnews.com dan medcom.id. The Legend, setiap Sabtu jam 7:30 malam.
A partial solar eclipse was visible in the northern United States and parts of Canada at sunrise on Thursday morning. The eclipse was visible with special lenses, but not to the naked eye. Dozens of protesters gathered in the West Bank city of Ramallah on Thursday in support of Palestinians in Jerusalem and against a procession that was planned by Jewish ultra-nationalists, which had intended to go through the Old City Muslim quarter. The Israeli police blocked the planned procession by Jewish ultra-nationalists through parts of Jerusalem's Old City, following warnings that it could reignite tensions that led to a punishing 11-day war with Gaza's militant Hamas rulers last month. The parade celebrates Israel's capture of East Jerusalem in the 1967 Mid-East War was underway on May 10th. The procession, which had intended to go through the Old City's Muslim quarter, is seen by Palestinians as a provocation. In a statement, police said the proposal to hold the parade later this week was not approved, but new plans would be considered. Widespread strikes in Greece brought public transport and other services to a halt Thursday. The country's largest labor unions protested against government employment reforms. The 24 hours protest also disrupted public hospitals and ferry services to the Greek islands. Several demonstrations were planned in Athens and other cities later Thursday. The Greek government has said the proposed changes are designed to modernize labor legislation that has remained largely unchanged for decades and would not threaten the 8-hour working day. Opponents, including the main left-wing opposition party backing the strikes, have accused the government of using lockdowns as a pretext to further erode long-standing working rights and legal protection for employees. The Budapest Festival Orchestra wants its audience back. The prestigious orchestra, led by renowned composer Ivan Fischer, took to the streets. The orchestra performed classical music to motorists and passers-by from a truck in the afternoon traffic in the Hungarian capital on Wednesday. The 5 musicians played Schubert, Mozart, and Dvorak as the truck carried them over the chain bridge spanning the Danube River and past St. Stephen's Basilica and other stunning city landmarks. The musical parade was aimed at encouraging Hungarians to start returning to live performances in concert halls as the pandemic wanes after more than a year in which people were homebound and forced to take in their culture online. It is a car fit for Her Majesty's Secret Service. The Goldfinger DB5 continuation is a limited edition faithful reproduction of 007 Aston Martin from 1964's Goldfinger. They have been built at Aston Martin's Newport Pagnell factory in the UK, the original home of the DB5. Aston Martin has only made a limited 25 of the cars, which come complete with switching license plate, retractable shield, smoke emitter, hidden telephone, and machine guns. Fake, of course. It could be for your eyes only, but comes at a price of 3 million euros. And after the break, we'll be back with more, including a documentary celebrating Muhammad Ali 5 years after his death. Stay tuned.
Kedelai hitam spesial, kecap sedap. Kental and so caramelized. Looks good, tastes good. Post, eat, repeat. Kedelai hitam spesial, kecap sedap. Beli kemasan pouch, gratis piring keramik dari Wings Food.
Pencapaian media Indonesia sepanjang tahun 2020-2021. Asian Media Awards 2020. Bronze winner. Penghargaan dari Badan Usaha Kemendikbud 2020. Penghargaan dari PT KAI 2020. Indonesia Print Media Awards 2020 and 2021. Penghargaan dari BNPB 2021. Penghargaan dari Badan Bahasa 2021. Indonesia Print Media Awards 2021. Gold winner.
Media Indonesia, a part of Media Group News.
Pandemi sekarang ini mengajarkan hijrah ke platform online atau digital.
Di aplikasi yang kita bikin itu membantu memindahkan catatan keuangan yang biasanya di buku. Kita pindahkan ke aplikasi.
Informasi yang ada, aku coba untuk share ke banyak orang melalui platform digital yang aku punya.
Vaksin untuk Indonesia. Usaha maju, kita makmur. Jumat 11 Juni, jam 8 malam. Dipersembahkan oleh, didukung oleh.
Bahasan yang akan kami bahas ini mengenai orang-orang yang beragama, tapi dia berjarak dengan agamanya.
Agama itu berjarak dengan pemeluknya. Agama lain juga merasakan perasaan yang sama.
Kita harus mampu menanamkan keyakinan dalam hati kita, iman kepada Allah, hablum minallah, dan sesama manusia. Tidak ada lagi jarak antara dirinya dengan keberagamaannya.
Khasanah Islam, jarak agama dan pemeluknya. Minggu 13 Juni, jam 2 siang.
Karena corona masih ada, terus pakai masker. Jangan lupa cuci tangan pakai sabun.
Terus jaga jarak di mana saja.
Hindari juga kerumunan biar aman. Batasi kegiatan di luar rumah, jangan kendor protokol kesehatan. Vaksin untuk Indonesia.
Nikmati Metro TV HD di saluran digital Anda.
Ayo semuanya, dukung migrasi TV digital. Bersih gambarnya, jernih suaranya, dan canggih teknologinya.
Untuk meningkatkan kualitas siaran, Metro TV migrasi ke satelit merah putih Telkom 4 dengan parameter: pastikan tetap terinformasi dengan tayangan lebih jernih bersama Metro TV. Metro TV hadir di mana peristiwa terjadi. Bekerja dengan identitas yang jelas. Dan mampu beradaptasi dengan teknologi terbaru. Agar Anda bisa mendapatkan informasi dengan segera. Jurnalis Metro TV berintegritas dan tidak menerima imbalan dalam bentuk apapun. Metro TV, knowledge to elevate. Saksikan live streaming Metro TV dan dapatkan informasi secara lengkap dengan video berkualitas high definition di kanal metrotvnews.com dan medcom.id. Metro This Week, setiap Sabtu jam 6:30 malam.
Welcome back. And lining up in our top entertainment news tonight, a documentary celebrates Muhammad Ali 5 years after his death. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo honors Robert De Niro with the Tribeca Award and the series Feel Good, starring Lisa Kudrow. That's it for tonight. For World News Tonight, I'm Kania Sutisnawinata. Thanks again for watching. Goodbye.
You want to understand this titanic.
When Muhammad Ali died 5 years ago, his name was known worldwide, but it was home to Louisville, Kentucky, where he returned. From his death on June 3, 2016, to his funeral a week later, the bluegrass community that raised him joined visitors from around the globe to celebrate the life and legacy of the greatest. That week is the focus of the new documentary, City of Ali. During that time, the U.S. was experiencing unrest over the police killings of black people, including Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Today is much the same, following other high-profile killings of black people, including George Floyd in Minneapolis and Breonna Taylor in Ali's hometown of Louisville. Muhammad Ali would have been standing at the front of every protest if he could have, said his daughter, Rashida Ali, who participated in the documentary. As one of the highest-profile conscientious objectors and someone who spoke out against racial inequality, Ali remains a symbol of resistance and strength to many in Louisville. Keeping Ali's legacy alive is the goal of the Muhammad Ali Center. The Louisville Museum and Multicultural Center educates people about Ali and teaches the core principles he lived by: confidence, conviction, dedication, respect, giving, and spirituality.
I didn't think it was.
To celebrate his life on the anniversary of his passing, the center, which also participated in the documentary, is holding an Ali festival through June 13, with screenings of City of Ali taking place daily. City of Ali is also available for streaming through Abra Morama's Watch Now at Home Cinema release.
Robert De Niro, because the greatest journey starts with a single step.
On the opening day of the Tribeca Film Festival, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo presented actor Robert De Niro and producer Jane Rosenthal a state award thanking them for their work in founding the annual film event. Tribeca is resuming in-person events this year after canceling its program in 2020 due to the pandemic.
That is Robert De Niro. He represents the best of New York. The talent, the strength, the resilience, the backbone, the values, the principles, the outspokenness. That is Robert De Niro. He is New York tough. And Robert De Niro and Jane Rosenthal are the dynamic duo and an unbeatable team. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Metro TV.
Pandemi sekarang ini mengajarkan hijrah ke platform online atau digital.
Di aplikasi yang kita bikin itu membantu memindahkan catatan keuangan yang biasanya di buku. Kita pindahkan ke aplikasi.
Informasi yang ada, aku coba untuk share ke banyak orang melalui platform digital yang aku punya.
Vaksin untuk Indonesia. Usaha maju, kita makmur. Jumat 11 Juni, jam 8 malam. Dipersembahkan oleh, didukung oleh.
Pemirsa, Metro TV menyelenggarakan pelatihan jurnalistik untuk tetaplah bersama kami di Breaking News Metro TV.
Dengarkan Metro TV di radio, more than just news. Streaming sekarang di metrotvnews.com dan medcom.id.
Lifestyle, fashion, kuliner, traveling, arsitektur. Segala ide kreatif serta hal-hal menarik dari berbagai daerah di Eropa kami hadirkan di ruang keluarga Anda. Euromax setiap Senin jam 7:30 malam.
Back to the 90s. Bersama Gigi, konser dua generasi. Saksikan Back to the 90s. Sabtu 26 Juni jam 8 malam.
Semua ujian pasti ada ujungnya. Vaksin untuk Indonesia.
Setiap Jumat jam 8 malam.
Metro TV, a part of Media Group News.
Indonesia tanah air beta, pusaka abadi nan jaya. Indonesia sejak dulu kala tetap dipuja-puja bangsa.
Indonesia tanah air beta, pusaka abadi nan jaya. Indonesia sejak dulu kala tetap dipuja-puja bangsa.
Di sana tempat lahir beta, dibuai dibesarkan bunda, tempat berlindung di hari tua sampai akhir menutup mata, tempat berlindung di hari tua sampai akhir menutup mata.
Metro TV, a part of Media Group News.
Anda menyaksikan Headline News, saya Iqbal Himawan. Pemirsa, 10 orang anggota DPRD Kota Surabaya beserta 2 orang tenaga kontrak dikonfirmasi terpapar COVID-19 setelah melakukan kegiatan di luar kota. Dengan kondisi ini, anggota Dewan mempertimbangkan untuk melakukan lockdown gedung DPRD. Setelah 10 orang anggota DPRD Kota Surabaya beserta 2 orang tenaga kontrak diketahui terpapar COVID-19, petugas sekretariat Dewan langsung melakukan penyemprotan disinfektan ke sejumlah mobil dan bus operasional DPRD Kota Surabaya. Penyemprotan kendaraan ini dilakukan karena seluruh anggota Dewan tersebut diketahui terpapar COVID-19 pada saat berada dalam satu kendaraan usai melakukan kegiatan di luar kota. Sementara itu, kondisi gedung DPRD Kota Surabaya sejak Kamis sore sudah terlihat sepi dari aktivitas. Sejumlah ruangan komisi terlihat kosong dan hanya ditempati sejumlah anggota DPRD. Untuk mengetahui secara pasti total anggota Dewan yang terpapar COVID-19 masih menunggu informasi dari Dinas Kesehatan. Hingga hari ini, seluruh anggota Dewan disebutkan telah melakukan swab antigen maupun PCR swab. Pihak DPRD Kota Surabaya hingga kini belum memutuskan untuk lockdown.
Pun kami sudah membatasi aktivitas rapat itu lebih banyak daring, dan kemudian kalaupun harus dilakukan secara luring itu keterisiannya hanya 25%, tetapi ya memang anggota DPRD itu kan aktivitasnya tidak hanya rapat di kantor DPRD, tetapi juga bertemu dengan masyarakat dan lain-lain sebagainya. Kami mendapatkan informasi katanya ada 1-2 tenaga kontrak yang juga terpapar, tetapi kami juga masih akan menanyakan kebenaran informasi tersebut ke Dinas Kesehatan.
Kontak tembak antara pasukan TNI Polri yang tergabung dalam Satgas Ops Nemangkawi dengan kelompok separatis bersenjata atau KSB kembali pecah pada hari Kamis di Kampung Eromaga, Distrik Ilaga, Kabupaten Puncak. Akibat kontak tembak, 3 anggota KKTB terkena tembakan, 1 tewas di tempat. Berdasarkan hasil laporan dari masyarakat dan hasil pantauan drone, terlihat 1 orang meninggal dunia atas nama Keminus Murib. Sementara 2 lainnya terluka akibat terkena tembakan. Kelompok KSB ini diduga sudah semakin terdesak, 3 anggotanya berhasil dilumpuhkan. Diketahui sebelumnya pada Senin 7 Juni 2021 lalu, 1 anggota kelompok KSB pimpinan Lekagat Telengen terkena tembakan di bagian paha oleh personel gabungan TNI Polri di sekitar Bandara Amingdaru Ilaga. Personel personil gabungan TNI Polri saat melakukan patroli tiba-tiba mendengar bunyi tembakan di sekitar areal bandara, langsung merespon ke sumber bunyi tembakan. Ikuti berita terkini melalui metrotvnews.com dan Headline News berikutnya akan hadir 1 jam mendatang.
我们为您报道最新的华语资讯，通过严格的验证和遵守卫生协议，在新的一年，我们更早的为您提供资讯。别错过每周一至周五早上7点的美读新闻。
Cara akses Magna Channel di TV digital Anda. Caranya, pilih menu atau setting. Kemudian, pilih saluran dan lakukan pencarian otomatis. Tunggu beberapa saat. Magna Channel akan muncul di daftar saluran TV digital Anda. Dan pilih Magna Channel. Selamat menonton Magna Channel, TV digital terestrial pertama dengan jangkauan nasional.
Back to the 90s. Bersama Gigi, konser 2 generasi. Saksikan Back to the 90s. Sabtu 26 Juni jam 8 malam.
Good evening, you are watching Asia Prime on Metro Globe Network and we are live from Jakarta, Indonesia with me, Sarah Wayne.
And I'm Alf Tapopolon. Glad you can join us in the next 60 minutes. We have prime stories from all over the world and here are tonight's top stories.
The G7 summit will take place between the 11th and 13th of June and will be the first in-person meeting between United States President Joe Biden and his counterparts.
Athletes coming from foreign countries will also be asked to turn on the GPS tracking systems on their smartphones to be able to verify their whereabouts during their stay in Japan.
And we have compiled the best moments of the CMT Music Awards tonight.
In our first story tonight, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris draws criticism from all sides during her first foreign trip.
In Guatemala, Harris offered an optimistic outlook for improved cooperation on addressing the spike in migration to the United States after her meeting with Guatemalan President Alejandro Giammattei. She delivered a direct warning to migrants considering making the trek by saying, "Do not come, do not come." And after that, her speech went viral. And now let's take a look at her words on that comment.
That the goal of our work is to help Guatemalans find hope at home. At the same time, I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border. There are legal methods.
In response to Harris's speech, critics point out that seeking asylum is a human right and completely legal.
Prior to Biden, the Trump administration also told asylum seekers not to come to the United States. Many asylum seekers from Central American countries have come to the United States either to seek asylum or escape violence or destabilization in their region. Critics came up since much of the destabilization in the region can be traced back to the U.S. Like in 1954, the CIA helped remove Guatemala's president. On to the Olympics now. The International Olympic Committee, IOC, is doubling its efforts to ensure that the Tokyo Games can go ahead while also not threatening the health of Japanese citizens, with concerns growing that the event could swamp a medical system already struggling to cope with coronavirus victims.
Speaking from Lausanne, the Olympics Games executive director said that around 80% of athletes have qualified for the Games have already been vaccinated against COVID-19. As for concerns over new variants, Dubey claimed that the regime that will be put in place can be adapted, and it can be adapted at any point in time. The Games are due to start in the Japanese capital on July 23rd.
And let's be clear here, there are no criticisms whatsoever or remarks or recommendation that we do not look into. Our commitment is safe games for all participants, and when we say all participants, it's people in Japan as well. Anything that is raised, we look into and we bring an answer. That's our commitment.
Meanwhile, Tokyo 2020 CEO Toshiro Muto said on Wednesday that athletes coming from foreign countries will also be asked to turn on GPS tracking systems on their smartphones to be able to verify their whereabouts during their stay in Japan.
Speaking to the media after the IOC Executive Board meeting, Muto added that while coordination of athletes will be monitored and limited, whether they'll be allowed to drink in the Olympic Village is still to be determined. Japan is also looking to get domestic media vaccinated in time for the Olympics, set to open July 23rd. Switching to the G7 now, as 3-meter high steel fences and security checkpoints have been set up in Cornwall in preparation for the G7 summit this week.
After months of preparation, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will host leaders of France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Canada, and the US at Carbis Bay in St. Ives. Local airspace has been shut and residents have been warned to expect disruption, including road closures and travel delays. Opinions were divided between excitement and frustration over the hosting of such a major event during the summer period, when many holidaymakers take to the Cornish coast for a bit of peace and quiet.
The G7 summit will take place between June 11th and 13th and will be the first in-person meeting between U.S. President Joe Biden and his counterparts. Well, President Biden had just given a speech to U.S. forces based in the U.K. after arriving on his first overseas trip as U.S. president.
Biden has grown frustrated by the diplomacy via Zoom dynamics of the pandemic and has relished to the ability to again have face-to-face meetings that allow him to size up and connect with world leaders. There are several potential areas of tension on climate change. The U.S. is aiming to regain its credibility after Trump pulled the country back from the fight against global warming. Biden could also feel pressure on trade, an issue to which he's yet to give much attention. And with the United States well supplied with COVID-19 vaccines, yet struggling to persuade some of its own citizens to use it, leaders whose inoculation campaigns have been slower have been pressuring Biden to share more surplus around the globe.
Not only after these meetings with our closest democratic partners to develop a common agenda and renewed purpose, I'll travel to Geneva to sit down with the man I've spent time with before, President Vladimir Putin. We're not seeking conflict with Russia. We want a stable, predictable relationship. Our two nations share incredible responsibilities, and among them, ensuring strategic stability and upholding arms control agreements. I take that responsibility seriously. But I've been clear, the United States will respond in a robust and meaningful way when the Russian government engages in harmful activities. We've already demonstrated that. I'm going to communicate that there are consequences for violating the sovereignty of democracies in the United States and Europe and elsewhere. I'm going to be clear that the transatlantic alliance will remain vital, a vital source of strength for the UK, Europe, and the United States. I'm going to make sure there's no doubt as whether the United States will rise in defense of our most deeply held values and our fundamental interests.
Asian shares edged higher on Thursday's trade, while the Jakarta Stock Exchange Composite Index gained almost 1%. Investors are waiting for a U.S. inflation rate for May 2021 and results from the G7 summit that will be held from June 11th to the 13th.
And we have Mercy Wijaya with more information.
Asian shares edged higher on Thursday, but held their recent trading range as investors focus on the U.S. inflation data and the risk of an upside surprise that could prompt the Federal Reserve to start tapering its massive stimulus program. U.S. inflation data is expected to show headline inflation at 4.7% in May 2021, or the fastest pace since 2008. Meanwhile, Jakarta Stock Exchange Composite Index gained almost 1% on Thursday trade after Indonesia's central bank announced a better economic data for April and May 2021. Indonesia's Consumer Confidence Index rose from 101.5 to 104.4 month-to-month in May 2021. And retail sales jumped 17% monthly or 15.6% yearly in April 2021. This economic data has boosted optimism in Indonesian market. Investors will also be watching for Group of Seven or G7 summit from June 11 to June 13. U.S. President Joe Biden told reporters that his goal was to strengthen the alliance, making it clear to Russia and China that Europe and the United States are tied. The meeting is expected to be dominated by vaccine diplomacy, trade, climate topics, and an initiative to rebuilding infrastructure in the developing world. U.S. officials see this effort as a way to counter China's growing influence. From Jakarta, I'm Mercy Wijaya reporting for Asia Prime Metro Globe Network.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson said Britain hoped to raise 1 billion COVID-19 vaccines at the G7 summit this week. Last week, the UK Treasury refused the recommendations by the appointed education expert Kevin Collins to invest £15 billion into the Education Recovery Fund.
Meanwhile, opposition leader Keir Starmer says the Prime Minister rolled over in settling on a lower figure of £1.4 billion or $2 billion to level up British pupils after setbacks from the pandemic.
Since the Prime Minister and Carrie got married. So can I offer my warm congratulations to the Prime Minister and his wife and wish them a happy life together. I have to say I admire the way they managed to keep it secret. It will be the first major summit of since the recovery. The UK needs to lead, not just to host. The priority must of course be a clear plan to vaccinate the world, as the Delta variant shows nobody is safe from this virus until everybody is safe. The Prime Minister has made big promises on this, but it needs a truly global effort to make it happen. So will the Prime Minister take the lead at the G7 and do whatever is necessary to make global vaccinations a reality?
Thanks to the deal the government did between the Oxford scientists and AstraZeneca, we were able to ensure that 1 in 3 of the 1.5 billion doses that have been distributed around the world are the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. That is global Britain in action, to say nothing of the billion vaccines that we hope to raise from the G7 this week.
The White House refused to be drawn on specific unauthorized disclosures of confidential government information following the release of a report by a nonprofit investigative journalism organization, ProPublica, about the taxes paid by the richest people in the United States.
The report says Amazon founder Jeff Bezos paid no income tax in 2007 and 2011, while Tesla founder Elon Musk's income tax bill was zero in 2018. And financier George Soros went 3 straight years without paying federal income tax. Overall, ProPublica found the richest 25 Americans pay less in tax than many ordinary workers do, once you include taxes and Social Security and Medicare. Its findings are likely to heighten a national debate over the vast and widening inequality between the very wealthiest Americans and everyone else. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki expresses concern that the tax information of individuals such as Bezos, Musk, and Soros was reported, but did not comment about anyone mentioned in the report.
Let me take the second part first because I think that's important. Any unauthorized disclosure of confidential government information by a person with access is illegal, and we take this very seriously. The IRS commissioner said today that they are taking all appropriate measures, including referring the matter to investigators, and Treasury and the IRS are referring the matter to the Office of the Inspector General, the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, the FBI, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, all of whom have independent authority to investigate. So obviously we take it very seriously. I'm not going to comment on specific unauthorized disclosures of confidential government information. I can tell you that broadly speaking, we know that there is more to be done to ensure that corporations, individuals who are at the highest income are paying more of their fair share. Hence, it's in the president's proposals, his budget, and part of how he's proposing to pay for it.
Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost has filed a lawsuit asking a court to declare Google a public utility and to regulate it as one in the latest twist on the escalating legal efforts to rein in the company that runs the internet's dominant search engine.
The Republican official is alleging Google has been abusing its power in a way that is discriminatory and anti-competitive to Ohio residents. Google attacked the lawsuit Tuesday as a misguided attempt to force changes that would diminish the quality of its search results. Ohio is the first state in the country to seek a court declaration that Google is a public utility that should be subject to government regulation. This complaint is just the latest in a series of legal threats the tech giant is facing, both in the U.S. and abroad, including a multi-state antitrust lawsuit assailing Google's business practices, which Yost also joined in December. That is just one of 3 major antitrust lawsuits filed against Google across the U.S. last autumn, including an attempted crackdown by the U.S. Justice Department. Google has vowed to fiercely contest the allegations in each of those lawsuits in a battle that is expected to take years to resolve.
Stay with us on Asia Prime. We have more information and news coming up after the break.
Setiap saat, berita bertabur di ruang publik. Namun hanya media Indonesia memberikan yang terbaik, mendalam, terpercaya, dan mudah diakses di mana saja dan kapan saja. Media Indonesia Cetak, mediaindonesia.com, dan e-paper Media Indonesia layak menjadi referensi Anda. Media Indonesia, referensi bangsa.
Kesehatan itu adalah hal penting yang harus kita jaga loh.
Saat ini, teknologi pun ikut mendukung kesehatan.
Supaya semakin sehat dan bugar.
Bersama para pakar kesehatan, kami mengulas kesehatan yang berbalut teknologi.
Simak Go Healthy di Metro TV.
Pandemi sekarang ini mengajarkan hijrah ke platform online atau digital.
Di aplikasi yang kita bikin itu membantu memindahkan catatan keuangan yang biasanya di buku. Kita pindahkan ke aplikasi.
Informasi yang ada, aku coba untuk share ke banyak orang melalui platform digital yang aku punya.
Vaksin untuk Indonesia. Usaha maju, kita makmur. Besok jam 8 malam. Nikmati Metro TV HD di saluran digital Anda.
Ayo semuanya, dukung migrasi TV digital. Bersih gambarnya, jernih suaranya, dan canggih teknologinya.
Halo travelers, pekan ini Amalina Lutfia mengajak Anda melihat keindahan Pulau Waigeo. Sebagai bagian dari 4 pulau besar di Raja Ampat, Waigeo pesona yang tak kalah dibanding Misol. Tak hanya itu, Amalina juga akan memberikan rekomendasi wisata yang bisa dinikmati segala usia. Journey, Raja Ampat untuk semua. Sabtu 12 Juni jam 10 pagi.
You're back on Asia Prime. The West Java government has established a cooperation with the Southeast Asia's leading online shopping platform, Shopee, to accelerate the digitalization of the province's small, medium-sized enterprises. And by digitalizing West Java's SMEs, hopefully the merchants will have a wider access to marketplace or other digital platforms.
Early this month, the cooperation was founded. West Java Governor Ridwan Kamil and co-founder and chief operating officer of C, the parent company of Shopee, inked the cooperation in the provincial capital of Bandung. Shopee plans to place 5,000 computer sets at its village center located in Bandung, and the plan is part of the co-op between the two parties.
And joining with us tonight, the governor of West Java, Ridwan Kamil, or Kang Emil. Good evening, Kang Emil.
Good evening, Mbak Vivi, Bang Ralph. Nice to see
Sarah
you all
Wayne
again.
here.
Yes, Kang Emil, I am here with Sarah Wayne, and we also have Ralph Tambopolon this evening. And we'd like to know more about the program that has been set up, where home industries, small and medium enterprises are now going digital through the program. How do you make sure that these companies are getting the proper portion and educate them to becoming bigger players in the industry?
Yes, as you know, West Java is the biggest population in Indonesia. We have around 50 million people, and more than 80% of our economic activity is really based on SMEs. So we are very big in domestic market. But as you know, this SME needs some attention, needs some education, and also assistance from the government. So we helped them during the COVID pandemic to give them a market education, marketing assistance from us also. We reduce the interest from the loan from the bank, for example. We also, this is the most important, try to transform from conventional commerce into the e-commerce. And we are happy to say during this pandemic, digital or e-commerce increased around 40%. So it means SMEs now in West Java is in the era of the digital. So we are inviting all the unicorn big companies in e-commerce, including Shopee, to assist this vision. This is also aligned with my vision to create what we call digital West Java, to transform from the e-government, from the digital village, from education, communication, everything is digital. So Shopee and West Java government signed agreement, and Shopee will install 1 or 2 computers within 5,000 rural villages around West Java in the village center. So the people in the village can bring the product and get photograph, get account in Shopee and sell the product all around the country. And with Shopee also we will create, this is the most interesting also, what we call export campus. Yeah. So because we try to balance and also compete with the imported goods, so the knowledge of how to export, the quality control, something that we need to educate. So export campus from Shopee, installing infrastructure, digital infrastructure around 5,000 villages. This is a concrete effort from us and Shopee in the year of 2021. So we hope we have a better economy, and I give you also a positive note. I think around this month or next month we will have a positive growth of our economy year to year around next month. Yeah.
So with hopes and goals also come challenges. What are the most common problems or challenges you found at this level of enterprise, and how do you try to overcome them?
Mostly during this time of the year of this disruption, they have difficulties to access finance. So gladly we have our own regional bank, Bank BJB for example. So I assigned them to use the recovery package from the central government. Majority must be channeled to this SME. This is number one. Second, the most challenging one is to transform the mindset. For example, one of so many cases when they moved to digital, they got surprised because the order for their product is increased multiple. So they're a bit worried how to handle this massive demand because of moving to digital. So I think educating how to control this high demand because of moving to digital, access to finance assisted by our regional bank is part of the most common problem and challenge for SME, and also most of them is a bit comfortable in the low size of their economy. So we are what we call it promoting, encouraging them to move from small to medium, from medium to big. Sometimes they not really understand or interested to industrialize or make the conventional production into mechanical production. Something we need to push more because the quality, the line, and the range of product of SME in West Java is so big. I think we have a better future with government and also businesses come together to make sure SME is the #1 economy in West Java.
All right, Kang Emil, one of the most famous things, or famous attributes of SMEs are their creativity. How will the government help assist the SMEs to stay creative, especially after 1 year and 2 years, for them to continue developing new ideas?
Yeah, we have a saying in Indonesia, kalau mau kreatif bergaulah dengan orang-orang kreatif. If you want to be creative, just mingle with the creative people, then they will quote unquote infected you with creativity also. So we created many institutions. For example, West Java is the only province to have the government policy of creative economy. Second, we created what we call it Creative Economic Council, a list of experts and people in creative economy to advise the governor. Now I have 27 cities, so we are building 27 creative councils. So within their own cities or region, they will invite with the spirit of collaboration, academician, business owner, and also community leader in creative economy to become part of this creative council. And the best part is we are building the infrastructure, what we call creative center. So I finished around 5 creative centers in Bogor, Purwakarta, for example, in many places. So this creative center is a place for the young people to come to learn, from the masters, get inspired, and have some seminar, conference. And this is because I used to be a creative person myself before I became a politician, so I understand the needs. It's a place for people to exchange ideas. So by the end of my term as a governor, I'm hoping I can build 27 creative centers within 27 cities and creating 27 creative economic council within our 27 cities and regions. That would be our goal, and you can check that the only province to do this vision is only West Java, because I understand the importance of the future of West Java through creative economy.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. Glad to see this happening. Thank you for your time joining us here on Asia Prime this evening, Governor of West Java, Ridwan Kamil.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next story, Indonesian President Joko Widodo inspected the progress of the infrastructure construction of the Jakarta Light Rail Transit project on Wednesday. The new mass public transportation facility for Jakartans is expected to start operating by June next year. President Jokowi also tried commuting with LRT from Indonesian Miniature Park Station to Harjamukti Cibubur Station, both in East Jakarta, on that occasion. He says infrastructure construction of the project has reached 84.7% from its complete development by April next year. The transportation facility is expected to go on trial for public use before officially operating in June. The Jabodetabek LRT project is part of the extension of the Jakarta Greater Area Integrated Railway Transportation to make people commute easily in Jakarta and connect with capital city with surrounding satellite cities such as Bekasi in the West Java province. According to the president, the LRT project is using 100% of Indonesian products. LRT compartments are made by state-run integrated rolling stock manufacturer PT Inka Infrastructure construction is done by state-owned company Adikarya and later to be operated by state railway operator KAI. About 22 trillion rupiah is allocated for its infrastructure development.
We'll be right back after the break with more news on Asia Prime. Stay with us.
Akhirnya Mas Ganjar sowan lah ke Mbak Puan. Saya bilang, Mbak Puan itu dipasangkannya harus sama Anies. Mau Prabowo juga nungsep pasti.
Di PDI itu sangat-sangat feudalistik. Bahwa ada yang namanya darah biru.
Tentu PDIP punya rasionalitas. Kenapa misalnya Ganjar dikunci.
Medcom.id, a part of Media Group News.
Miliki gudang multiguna at Peak 2 Bispark. Hadir dengan layout yang fungsional. Bisa difungsikan sebagai gudang, kantor, dan rumah sekaligus. Hanya 3,5 menit menuju interchange. Hanya 18 menit menuju Bandara Internasional Soekarno-Hatta. Miliki gudang multiguna ukuran 6x20 meter. Dengan harga spesial 2,5 miliar rupiah. Kunjungi show unit kami. Hubungi 021 588 8000.
Breaking News Metro TV. Gempa bermagnitudo 6,1 mengguncang sebagian wilayah.
Persija Jakarta sukses menjuarai Piala Menpora 2021.
Pimpinan Media Group News bertemu Wakil Presiden Kiai Haji Ma'ruf Amin.
Pemirsa, setelah viral di media sosial, 32 warga negara India ditolak masuk Indonesia.
Pemirsa, Metro TV memberikan santunan kepada anak yatim piatu di Yayasan Masjid At-Taqwa.
Dengarkan Metro TV di radio. More than just news. Streaming sekarang di metrotvnews.com dan medcom.id. Nikmati Metro TV HD di saluran digital Anda.
Ayo semuanya, dukung migrasi TV digital. Bersih gambarnya, jernih suaranya, dan canggih teknologinya.
Untuk meningkatkan kualitas siaran, Metro TV migrasi ke satelit merah putih Telkom 4 dengan parameter: pastikan tetap terinformasi dengan tayangan lebih jernih bersama Metro TV. Saksikan live streaming Metro TV dan dapatkan informasi secara lengkap dengan video berkualitas high definition di kanal metrotvnews.com dan medcom.id.
G7 summit will take place between June 11th and the 13th and will be the first in-person meeting between US President Joe Biden and his counterparts.
Athletes coming from foreign countries will also be asked to turn on GPS tracking systems on their smartphones to be able to verify their whereabouts during their stay in Japan.
And we are compiling the best moments from the CMT Music Awards just for you tonight.
Gladys Knight, Mickey Guyton, Her, Carrie Underwood, and more rock the stage at the CMT Music Awards on June 9th in Nashville, Tennessee.
The legendary Gladys Knight won over audience members not wearing masks during a performance of Friendship Train with Mickey Guyton. Grammy-winning R&B star Her and fellow guitar slayer Chris Stapleton had the night's best performance. They joined forces for a performance of Hold On. Carrie Underwood has another reason to rejoice. She extended her record as the most decorated artist in the history of the CMT Music Awards thanks to her song Hallelujah. The music video for the singer's hit, a collaboration with John Legend, was named Video of the Year at Wednesday's show, June 9, 2021, which aired from Nashville, Tennessee. Though Underwood owned part of the night, she also performed with rock band Need to Breathe. Other female stars, some outside of the country music, took over the award show, honoring the year's best country music videos. Kane Brown won Male Video of the Year for Worship You and Collaborative Video of the Year for Famous Friends with Chris Young. Lady A kicked off the show with Carly Pearce and Lindsay L. Ingrid Andress sang with pop singer-songwriter J.P. Sachs.
No one's ever loved me like that. No one's ever loved me like that. He don't love me like tequila.
While Miranda Lambert performed with Jack Ingram and John Randall.
He don't give me that border town blues like tequila does. No, he don't love me like tequila does. Nobody can. He don't give me that border town blues like tequila does.
Prince Harry took a break from paternity leave to announce the return of his Invictus Games, supporting the rehab and recovery of wounded veterans.
The Duke of Sussex announced on an Instagram post on Wednesday that the Invictus Games will take place in Dusseldorf, Germany in 2023. The event, started by Harry in 2014, is an athletic competition for the wounded, sick and injured veterans and armed forces members. After Harry's brief message, the video showed footage of a man running through the streets before entering a stadium in Dusseldorf before flashing the dates September 9th through 16th.
Harry is bringing the Invictus Games back after he had to cancel the event in 2020 and partially this year because of the coronavirus pandemic. The Invictus Games will return in The Hague, Netherlands, from April 16th to the 22nd next year before it heads to Germany the following year. Wow, they are busy. Second child, and then Meghan releasing a book for children, and now this.
True, and don't forget the Oprah Winfrey special with Harry, talking about the mental health problems that he has been facing and also giving the strength to those who are facing similar problems as well. But speaking of his paternity leave, Ralph, the British royal family are also celebrating the news of their second child, of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
Lilibet Lady Diana Mountbatten Windsor pays tribute to both Harry's grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, whose family's nickname is Lilibet, and his late mother, Princess Diana.
Elizabeth Alexandra Mary of York was born on April 21, 1926, in Mayfair, London. The child who would one day be queen became known as Lilibet to her family. The eldest child of Prince Albert, Duke of York, and Elizabeth, Duchess of York, she was the last generation of British royals to have been educated at home. At the time, she stood third in line to the throne after Edward, Prince of Wales, and her father, the Duke of York. As such, it was not expected that her father would become king or that she might one day become queen. Princess Elizabeth's quiet family life came to an end when, in December 1936, Edward VIII abdicated to marry the woman he loved, American divorcee Wallis Warfield Simpson. Elizabeth's father reluctantly became King George VI, instantly making Elizabeth first in line to the throne. Princess Elizabeth's life was thrown into turmoil when London was attacked by German forces during World War II. But despite the continual bombing raids of the Blitz, the royal family remained in the capital, and young Elizabeth did her bit for the war effort. After the war, Princess Elizabeth's engagement to Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten was announced. Philip was the son of Prince Andrew of Greece and a great-great-grandson of Queen Victoria. The couple first met when Elizabeth was 8 years old. In private, Philip called his wife Lilibet. On February 6, 1952, Elizabeth's father, King George VI, died in his sleep at Sandringham House, a royal residence in Norfolk, at the age of 56. His death changed Elizabeth's life forever when she acceded to the throne. On June 2, 1953, Elizabeth was crowned at Westminster Abbey. She became the 40th English monarch and the 6th queen to reign since William the Conqueror was crowned in 10,066.
Now moving on from one queen to another queen of a different kind.
Yes, this is the Queen Bees, where the Hollywood stars over 70, Ellen Burstyn, Anne Margaret, and Loretta Devine had a blast on screen and off filming Queen Bees.
Pine Grove. Welcome to Pine Grove.
Welcome to Pine Grove. Is somebody going to say that every 12 seconds?
The stars of the new movie Queen Bees, Ellen Burstyn and Margaret and Loretta Devine, confessed they had as much fun filming off-screen as on.
We call them the Queen Bees.
Well, you know, you don't run across films too often that have the 4 leading ladies be in their 70s. And I was very glad that the filmmakers realized that there is an audience for that.
Seats, clicks, they're like Mean Girls, but with medical alert bracelets.
There you go. Remember. And so we had an awfully good time, you know, working together. We're 4 actresses who've been in the business a long time, and we're very experienced. And so we just had fun.
We are sisters, the 4 of us. I love that. Oh!
Word on Ellen Burstyn said she was drawn to the project because it starred 4 women over 70.
If it works out, great. If it doesn't, at least you're riding the bike again.
Film stars Burstyn as a widow who begrudgingly moves into a retirement home while her house is under repair.
I can't wait to watch that.
Well, I hope we can learn something from the Queen Bees, because it is said that some kind of Mean Girls for the more mature demographic. But don't worry, we have more information, also news on Asia Prime, coming right up after the break.
Media Indonesia lebih dari sekadar surat kabar, hadir melalui beragam platform, cetak, e-paper, dan online. Dengan program di media sosial yang kuat dalam konten, dan pengembangan bisnis yang terarah. Dapatkan informasi lengkap melalui 51 tahun Media Indonesia, Reka Cipta Indonesia.
Pemirsa, tidak ada bosan-bosannya kami selalu mengajak Anda untuk selalu peduli tentang jantung dan juga stroke.
Untuk itulah, kami juga senantiasa menghadirkan narasumber yang dapat menjadi pembelajaran bagi Anda dan juga keluarga.
Dr. Laser dan Rumah Sakit Mitra Keluarga Kalideres mengundang Anda untuk melakukan medical check-up screening jantung dan juga stroke dengan diskon 50%.
Saksikan terus Go Healthy setiap hari jam 6.30 waktu Indonesia Barat, dan pengumuman kode voucher diskon medical check-up akan Anda dapatkan pada akhir acara. Go Healthy, cara tepat hidup sehat.
Banyak nelayan tidak bisa melaut karena kondisi perahunya tidak layak pakai. Nelayan membutuhkan perahu yang berkualitas agar mereka bisa kembali produktif. Melalui program Susi Cek Ombak, saya Susi Pujiastuti mengajak Anda berdonasi melalui rekening Yayasan Benih Baik Indonesia, Nelayan Berseri Laut Lestari.
Nikmati Metro TV HD di saluran digital Anda.
Ayo semuanya, dukung migrasi TV digital. Bersih gambarnya, jernih suaranya, dan canggih teknologinya.
Lifestyle, fashion, kuliner, traveling, arsitektur. Segala ide kreatif serta hal-hal menarik dari berbagai daerah di Eropa kami hadirkan di ruang keluarga Anda. Euromax, setiap Senin jam 7:30 malam.
One thing that you always need to remind yourself during this pandemic is keeping your distance from others or keeping physical distances. So, solo traveling now getting more popular since people are desperate to have a holiday but still can maintain the physical distancing protocols. We have this new cool spot in Yogyakarta that fits solo travelers. They call it Teletubbies Hills. Yes, Teletubbies. Because the hill's contours look like a very unique Teletubbies house. Sometimes people also call it New Zealand in Yogyakarta. Teletubbies Hills located in Bagus Mountain area in Palian Gunung Kidul, Yogyakarta. It takes 15 minutes drive from Wonosari or about an hour from Yogyakarta City. Breathtaking scenery welcomes you along the way. Once as you arrive, you can see beautiful karst hills and cornfields. No wonder visitors taking many photos or selfies on this location. Since it's getting more popular, people choose to come here to catch the sunset, enjoy scenery and cool air, and here come the best part. Everything's free, no charge at all. Erwin Hidayat for Metro Globe Network.
An accurate reproduction of James Bond's Aston Martin DB5 has been presented at the company's showroom in Milan, Italy.
The Goldfinger DB5 continuation is a faithful reproduction of 007's Aston Martin from the 1964 classic Goldfinger. The Aston Martin DB5 that appeared on screen during the third movie of the Bond series has become one of the iconic movie star models ever. The Goldfinger DB5 continuation is a limited edition. It's a faithful reproduction of 007's Aston Martin from the movie Goldfinger. They've been built at Aston Martin's Newport Pagnell factory in the UK, the original home of the DB5.
To capitalize on the love shown for the model, Aston Martin has decided to create the 25 exact replicas of the model used in the famed 1964 Bond movie. On top of its incredible styling, part of what draws so many admirers to the car is the panoply of crazy gadgets it was equipped with for the filming of the movie. For instance, the flip-up license plate, a button for blowing a literal smoke screen out the back of the car, and another one for spraying the road behind with an oil slick, and of course, the ejectable passenger seat. 50 years after it first appeared, the DB5 is clearly an abiding favorite among collectors.
And stay with us for more stories right here on Asia Prime on Metro Globe Network.
Lagi-lagi, masih banyak orang belum mengetahui bahwa dirinya punya riwayat hipertensi, sehingga tak heran jika komplikasi akibat hipertensi terjadi.
Saya Yohanes, usia 45 tahun. Saya tidak bisa menggerakkan tangan kanan dan kaki kanan saya. Stroke tersebut masih menyisakan kecacatan pada diri saya.
Lalu apa saja upaya kita agar terhindar dari serangan stroke? Simak Go Healthy, tips turunkan tensi dan cegah komplikasi. Jumat 11 Juni, jam 6:30 pagi.
Kenapa sih kita harus berinvestasi di PIK 2? Ada 3 alasan utama. Yang pertama, lokasi PIK 2. Alasan kedua, setiap orang yang membeli PIK 2 dianggap sebagai pemegang saham. Membeli produk PIK 2 memang selalu untung karena harga perdana PIK 2 50% di bawah harga market. Alasan yang ketiga, fasilitas. Di mana fasilitas yang tersedia di PIK 2 jauh lebih banyak dari real estate manapun juga.
Bahasan yang akan kami bahas ini mengenai orang-orang yang beragama, tapi dia berjarak dengan agamanya.
Agama itu berjarak dengan pemeluknya. Agama lain juga merasakan perasaan yang sama.
Kita harus mampu menanamkan keyakinan dalam hati kita, iman kepada Allah, hablum minallah, dan sesama manusia. Tidak ada lagi jarak antara dirinya dengan keberagamaannya.
Khasanah Islam, jarak agama dan pemeluknya. Minggu 13 Juni, jam 2 siang. Nikmati Metro TV HD di saluran digital Anda.
Ayo semuanya, dukung migrasi TV digital. Bersih gambarnya, jernih suaranya, dan canggih teknologinya.
Untuk meningkatkan kualitas siaran, Metro TV migrasi ke satelit merah putih Telkom 4 dengan parameter pastikan tetap terinformasi dengan tayangan lebih jernih bersama Metro TV. Saksikan live streaming Metro TV dan dapatkan informasi secara lengkap dengan video berkualitas high definition di kanal metrotvnews.com dan medcom.id.
Moving on with sports news. An outstanding baseball game happened in American Major League Baseball on June 9. The St. Louis Cardinals won over the Cleveland Indians with a 6-game losing streak, 8-2, in the heart of its home base, Busch Stadium, Missouri.
St. Louis Cardinals owed to its left fielder, Tyler O'Neill. All the eyes are on O'Neill after he excellently scored 2-run homer in the third off Phil Maton and a solo homer in the 7th against Trevor Stephan. The tension of the match went up from third inning until the end of the match. All St. Louis's lineup played well and scored other homer.
Off the glove of Naylor, and this is big trouble. Arenado scores, O'Neill scores. They're going to wave Yadi Molina home too. And now